And we're back with me, Johnny McMurray, on the On The Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. Tonight's guest has been a goalkeeper for the ages. He's been an international, he's played at the biggest clubs in Northern Ireland, and he's here on the spot with me, and it's an absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. George Dunlop. How are you, Georgie?
All right, Johnny.
A lot of
Thanks
people
for
say
me.
Geordie.
Aye.
Is that what it is? Is it Geordie?
Among other names, aye.
Yes.
Aye. Whatever you're happy with.
Well, I tell you what I'm not going to call you, but I want to bring it up.
Bungie.
I've done... No, what is there?
Bungie.
Bungie?
Aye. That's another name.
Now, a lot of... Throughout the research, you kind of find out different things. And online, it says a lot of the fans would have called you the Elephant Man.
No. This came up when we... Cliftonville games especially.
Right.
But it was Lindsay McKeown they're referring to.
Okay, right, okay.
And not me.
Okay, fair.
But, sure.
Well, I apologize. You're definitely not the Elephant Man, sir.
No.
You're fantastic shape, fantastic colour. I'm jealous. I feel whiter than ever at the minute.
So you're going to college, or you'll be all right.
That's it. I know, 2 weeks. We should have done this whenever I came back.
Yeah.
Two of us would be like, you would look like my dad, for God's sake.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm all right. Life's good, and when you get to the sort of age we're at now, you just hope you don't take sick.
Yeah.
But other than that, life's good.
Well, you're looking fantastic, as I say. I'm so excited to have you here. I had a friend of yours on, Mr. Alan Fraser, over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You're fantastic. Good insight to his career and all the conversations, and he spoke very well about his old mate. So,
great lad, Alan. Great lad. I played with Linfield for a while, and then he moved on to Glenavon in Ballymena, and then when I took over at Bangor as manager, I brought him with me for his experience, and he was really helpful. Yeah. But above all else, a really, really good fella.
Yeah, and a fantastic career he's had too. Some of the comments people are getting at are fantastic for him, saying how good he was. So, pleasure to have him on. But listen, tonight's all about you, and it's, as I say, it's a pleasure to have you in to talk about your career. Not only did you play at Linfield for around 13, 14 years, but you had international caps in there, you'd been away in England previous, so a lot to talk about, a lot to dive into. But how does it all get started for you? Where does it actually get started for you as a young boy?
As a young boy, it was school. I played for Orangefield School.
Okay.
And progressed through to play for the schoolboys, Northern Ireland schoolboys. And the team that I played in was the first schoolboy team from Northern Ireland to play at Wembley.
Okay.
So we played England at Wembley. And I think we lost 1-0. And then we played them at Portadown in the Victory Shield and beat them 2-0. One of our main players got injured against Scotland. And I think we lost 1-0 to Scotland, and then we drew with Wales at the Oval. So out of that came a trial at Man City, and I was lucky to sign on there as an apprentice at Man City, age 15, 16. So that's how it first started.
Whenever you potentially get that, is your goal at that age to become a footballer? Is that all you live and breathe at that time?
I didn't know anything else, Johnny, to be honest with you, But it was a great saying, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Absolutely.
Because it would have been so different, in my opinion. But it was very difficult going away from home, living away from home. And I never, ever really settled at Man City. And I don't think it did myself justice.
Yeah.
As a result of that, they released me. And I came home and signed for Glentoran. And I was there about a year and a half, and they released me. And I got to the stage there in my career that if it didn't get my act together, I was finished.
Okay.
And luckily enough, Arthur Stewart came in for me and brought me to Ballymena. I had to wait a year to get into the team at Ballymena, and then I got into the first team there, and well, it all went off from there then.
Whenever you talk about that sort of period that you're in, you're kind of like near enough in limbo, where you don't know what way you're going to go. You're either going to go for it or you're not. But at that stage, what did you think that you needed to change? What were you doing that you think, looking back, was probably the wrong things to be doing?
I probably wasn't working hard enough.
Okay.
I probably wasn't taking it serious enough. And that, in a nutshell, I was at the crossroads of my career, and I could have went down the wrong road. And luckily, when it came to the Ballymena, Arthur Stewart worked very hard with me.
Yeah.
Even when I wasn't in the team, and when I got into the team, eventually he continued to work hard with me, and it sort of pointed me in the right direction of what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that was one area at that particular time where I was lacking. And as I say, to this day, I appreciate the work and the chance that Arthur Stewart gave me at Ballymena.
It always takes someone to give you the opportunity, and I've had so many people on the podcast that say you always need a wee bit of luck, but you always need somebody to take a shining to you as well, somebody to see that talent within. Because as you say, you're probably not showing that probably to your full potential at that stage. So for somebody to give you that and kind of stick by you is massive. But you obviously had the talent. Did you know that you were a good goalkeeper at that stage and that you had the ability to play in the league?
Well, I always believed in myself, you know, and at that given time, I probably didn't show it. But I remember I played for Glentoran Seconds at Ballymena in the County Antrim Shield. We played Ballymena first team, and we beat them, I think it was 3-1 or something like that. And Arthur must have seen something in me that night, because when he found out I was released, he was on the ball and immediately signed after that. So when somebody gives you that sort of boost and belief, you know, within you,
yeah,
it certainly helps you along the way.
Whenever you're at Man City,
yeah,
and you're there full time, you're trying to fit yourself into a different setup than what you've been accustomed to as a kid. Is it frustrating that you never got the contract out of it? And how hard was it coming home?
Again, going back to that old saying, if I knew then what I know now, I played in the final of the Youth Cup in my last year, and it did very well. I think we beat Man United in the final, and it done very well. But when we come back the next season, it just didn't happen. And I probably didn't have the right attitude, and the inevitable happens, you know. And I just called into the office and said, look, we're letting you go. Would you prefer to stay in England or would you want to go home? And right away, I mean, I've lived nearly 3 years away from home at a crucial part of my life. I chose to go home.
Would you have been a home bird?
Yeah.
Did you struggle with being away from home throughout 3 years?
Yeah.
I only asked that question because I know that I've never had the opportunity to go, as many people on this know because I've mentioned it, but I don't think that I would have been able to go.
Well, back in the end, the trouble was just starting. I think my folks were glad to get out of the way, you know, get me away to the road and know where I was, and I was away, you know. There were difficulties. I mean, financially, I was earning £6.43 a week was your salary. You had buses to get daily to go to training, which is all expenditure out of your wages. You had to clothe yourself and whatever. And luckily, my parents were good to me and sent me money to buy clothes and that, you know. But you didn't have an awful lot of finance to do the other things, to maybe go out places or whatever. So you're very, very restricted in terms of what you could do. I'm the outdoor type, and because of my financial situation, I became more the indoor type. Yeah. And I couldn't really go anywhere, and that got on top of me as well.
When you think about £6.40, what could you get for £6.40 nowadays?
Well, that was your wage, and Johnny, you used to get if you played for the A team on a Saturday, you got £1 expenses, and if you played for the B team, you get 50 pence expenses. So 50 pence would have got me 2 bus fares.
100%, yeah.
You know, going to training on a daily basis. So every wee bit helped, you know, but you know,
you weren't living the dream.
No.
As many people go over and go, oh, you're a footballer, you're full time, you're at Man City, you must be making good money. And in hindsight, you're still struggling away.
And people saying, when you get in the first team and that there, and you know, if they only knew how far removed away from it you were, you know.
Yeah.
But there was big stars there at that particular time, and Francis Lee and Rodney Morris and Mike Summery, Colin Bell, you know, Francis Lee himself became a millionaire and so forth, you know, and drove up in his Jag, and on match days you would see directors and that turning up in their Rolls Royces and stuff like this here, you know. My family never had a car. We never had a car.
Okay.
So this was all new to me, and my only mode of transport was always a bus.
Yeah. But then you were very well accustomed, because I think that, especially being from Northern Ireland, we hate to travel.
Yeah.
Like, if you drive more than 30 minutes, it's mental. It's like, why am I driving that far? Whereas if you get a bus, anytime you go to London, it's tubes, it's trams, they're very more accustomed in England to public transport than what certainly we are here.
Well, I would have been about 20 minutes by bus away from Main Road, where we congregated in the mornings before we go to the training pitch. And the thing was, when I finished training, we'd have lunch maybe 12 o'clock. So by 1 o'clock you're finished, right? I couldn't go anywhere because I couldn't afford it. So you're basically back home to your digs, back in your digs all day, especially in the winter. Once you come in from training, maybe 2 o'clock or whatever, you never went out, really, you know. So that side of it got me down a wee bit, but more than anything else, I blame myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Whenever you do make that transition home, you're happier, you get back into the setup, and obviously Glentoran's one of the teams that are able to get you. How does that materialise from you coming back from Manchester to signing for Glentoran?
I can't remember how that happened, but somebody came to see me. Somebody came to the house, found out where I lived, obviously through the grapevine or whatever, that I was coming home. They came to the house and just said, right, will you come down and speak to, I think it was Peter McParland at the time, if I remember right, was the manager. So I came down and had a quick chat and whatever, and I signed for the Glens. I think I played about 9 games for the Glens, and again it wasn't happening. And again, I can only blame myself, because I didn't put the work in that I needed to do. I didn't put in the commitment that was required. And the result of that, the inevitable happens, and they say, we're letting you go.
Yeah.
And I moved on.
The best thing does happen then, obviously, as we spoke about already, you go to Ballymena. It's probably a more frustrating time because you haven't been able to probably establish yourself as a first team regular. It takes a bit of time, but how much better was it going to Ballymena and having the opportunity even than it being at Glentoran?
Well, it was a new opening for me at the time, and say Arthur made me very welcome, as did his family, his mother and his brother. You know, were lovely people, and made me very welcome when I got to Ballymena. I played for Smudger Smith, who was reserve team manager, another lovely guy, and you know, it took me, you know, a year, I think it was, to get into the team, and I was getting frustrated again because I felt I was doing okay, and I needed to make the next step. Things had changed greatly. Arthur had worked very hard with me, and I was beginning to enjoy it again. And then again, as I say, I eventually got in to the team, and it all went again from there. I think Arthur left, and Eddie Russell became manager.
Okay.
And I played in a team with I can remember the team. It would have been myself, Tommy Gowdy, Arthur, Bobby Averill, Sammy McCauley, Alec Donald, John Sloan, Desi Orr. I can't remember who was on the left, with Barry Brown and Jimmy Martin up front.
Okay.
And we were doing very well. We were about third or fourth. I think we were at the top for a while, but we finished up about third or fourth, which is good.
Would they have been expected at that stage to be a team that was competing or up that end of the table?
Well, I would have thought maybe mid-table.
Okay.
But at this particular time, the two strikers were scoring goals.
Helps.
And taking the pressure off us.
Does, yeah,
you know, so if we kept it tight at our end, well, then we weren't going to get beat.
Yeah.
And those guys, Jimmy Martin was scoring goals for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Blues came and took him.
Yeah.
So it was a whole change then. And then I think the team broke up a wee bit. And I think Arthur left for one reason or another. And they brought a past player in, Eddie Russell.
Okay. And
Eddie's a lovely fella. Sadly, a bit unwell at the moment. But he was a lovely guy too, and he enjoyed playing there. And then things were going fairly well, both from a personal perspective and a team perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember I mentioned to you earlier, we played Linfield on the wee pitch, behind the main pitch. I think it was because the dressing rooms or something had been burnt, and health and safety, whatever, we had to play them on the pitch. Down below.
Was this like a random thing that happened, that the stadium or the changing rooms went on fire, or was it?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I honestly can't remember, Johnny, what happened. But anyway, you can imagine there was no stand or nothing. There was just a fence sort of around the pitch and a fairly decent crowd when you're playing infield.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was aware at that particular time that there were three clubs coming to watch me. That being Arsenal, Brighton and Tottenham.
Okay.
So we played the Blues down that particular day. We did fairly well. I can't remember the score. But the next thing was Brighton came in the following week with an offer.
Okay.
The offer wasn't obviously what they wanted. I was just sitting back letting it happen, thinking nothing's going to happen. And then we got a phone call. The chairman got a phone call from Arsenal, wanting me to go over on trial. So I think we played Crusaders on the Saturday, and I flew out on the Monday to go over to Arsenal on trial. And I played on the Wednesday night in the reserves at Swindon. And it finished up, I think, 1 each. And then on the Thursday morning, I went back into training for the debrief, as they would say, by the coach. And I always remember standing there, and the reserve team goalkeeper who was playing normally was standing there, and the coach, I think his name was Ian Crawford, said to me, well, I'll start with you. He said, how do you think you done? And I said to him, well, I think I did okay. I didn't think that I looked out of place. And overall, personally, was happy enough. Mm-hmm. And his words to me were, well, he said, would you like to join Arsenal? And I said, well, of course I would. And he says, well, if it's anything to do with me, he will be. So that sort of took me back a wee bit.
Must have filled you with excitement, and you must have been like, God, I might have a real opportunity here. Like,
I'm saying to myself, maybe go and get another chance now.
Yeah.
And maybe the door is opened. Anyway, as it turned out, I had to go and see the first team at Arsenal were at Everton on the Wednesday night as well. And I had to go and see Terry Neal, who was the manager, on Thursday.
Okay.
So I went in up to see him, and he gave me my expenses and stuff and so forth. And he said to me, I gather you did very well. And I says, well, I think I did okay. And he said to me, okay. He says, well, I'll be in touch with your chairman. And that was it. And that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never heard.
Just radio silence, nothing?
Nothing.
Right.
Well, I was not aware of any further developments
Yeah.
And then the Brighton thing, whatever happened, and as I say, I wasn't involved in anything in that. It sort of fizzled out too. And then I found difficulty with coming to training at Ballymena on the winter nights. It was difficult, and Linfield then came in, and I wanted to move to Linfield, and that's what happened.
See, whenever you talk about the potential of going away at that stage, you're about to get your second bite at the cherry. So everything that you've amassed over that period that you didn't do the first time, you know that I've now set myself into a stall where I've done this, potentially going to get a chance to do this full time again. Mm. Did it annoy you that the club didn't accept the offer from Brighton to let you go?
See, to be honest with you, no, it didn't. It didn't annoy me, Johnny. And it probably should have.
It should have, yeah.
But it didn't, because I had faith in the people at Ballymena. Davy McKeown was the chairman, the lovely man. Jackie Fullerton was there, involved as well. Good people. And
was Jackie playing, or was Jackie
no,
just in the board?
No, Jackie was on the background.
Okay.
But Ballymena was his club,
mm-hmm.
you know, and they obviously trusted him,
yeah,
as I did as well. So, you know, no, it didn't. I can't say to you, Johnny, I was disappointed it didn't happen. You always hope it's going to happen, but it didn't. It didn't deter me in any. It didn't put me off, because now I'd got myself into the first team at Ballymena. Now things maybe could change, and they did change. So I was okay with it.
Did you see a big difference in your levels of performance from you started playing? Did you really kick on from where you were as a player previous, and then as soon as you got that run of games, did you really elevate yourself to say, I'm one of the best keepers in the league? I think
the mindset changed.
Okay.
I think my attitude changed. I think I seen things getting a bit better. I seen things that, in my view, were getting better because I was working harder.
Yeah. Aye, so the tumbling
so maybe
box,
they both go together.
Mm-hmm.
I was realising that, and I was happy enough, and I was finding my feet. Is probably the word you're looking for. Finding my feet, and things started to look up from where I was. They were starting to look up.
I know exactly what you mean by those cold winter nights. It's a
it's
well, yes, I would agree. Sometimes it's cold down here.
Aye.
Sometimes
it's always raining too. Always raining down Ballymena.
No, it's a fantastic place, and the studio's down here for the podcast.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
It's sunny out there at the minute, but I get you. Sometimes over winter, there's nothing harder to tell yourself you've done a full day's work. You get down, you're sitting going, it's freezing.
I know. And we used to have to leave early and get home late, you know. But having said that, Johnny, to be truthfully honest with you, I love Ballymena. I love my time at Ballymena, because that's where it all started to go right for me.
Absolutely.
And I could never, ever, ever say a bad word about Ballymena.
No, it's a fantastic club, and there's still fantastic people around the club at the minute.
Yep.
They've obviously done a lot of business in this transfer window this year, so you're expecting them to do well next year. But you get your move to Linfield.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that coming?
Well, you would hear we did different wee things along with. Nobody approached me.
Okay.
Right. But you would hear different things along the way. And when it came sort of way towards the end of the season, it was gathering a bit of momentum.
Okay.
And basically, you know, I had my heart set on a move to Linfield, biggest club in the country.
I was going to say why Linfield, but you wouldn't have went back to Glen. So.
Well, it was the biggest club in the country, and at that particular time, they were going okay. They were involved in most things, and most of the times, as you well know, Linfield are going to win something.
Yeah.
You're going to be involved in finals.
It's the potential of winning trophies. You want to go and win trophies as a player.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only medal I'd ever won in there, I think, was At Ballymena, we won the County Antrim Shield, beating Distillery at Larne.
Okay.
Very last match of the season, so that was the only one that I had. And now this opportunity opened up. I wanted to go for it, and it worked out okay.
Who was the manager at Linfield at the time?
Roy Coyle.
Okay. Now,
Roy
we've
Coyle.
spoke a lot about Roy Coyle, and I think a lot of people in here have either been managed by Roy or they've probably had the dealings with him in other games where he's been on the other sideline. But summarise Roy Coyle, and how was your relationship with Roy?
May need to edit some bits.
We don't cut
No,
there.
no. To be honest with you, you know, we were chatting earlier there, you know, when I spoke to him, he promised me the moon and the stars.
I think that's most managers, isn't it?
Yeah,
they want
yeah.
their player.
Yeah.
They have to give you something or tell
So
fibs.
I was happy to join Linfield, thinking that I was going to get into the first team, etc. Again, that didn't happen because Linfield were continuing to be success. But at the start of the first year, having been promised the moon and stars, it didn't happen. So I had to wait another, I think it was about 14 or 15 months. And at this stage, I was getting frustrated.
I was about to say, were you not raising, like if I'm in that position, which I have been, it would usually take me a lot less time than 14 months. I would usually be gone by then, I'll be honest, but I never got the chance to be at Linfield to hold on to it. But
yeah, well, there was always a good Swifts team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were winning that as well.
And what age would you be at this stage?
I was 20, 21.
You're still very young, to be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. So, again, you know, it didn't happen, and the frustration was creeping into me again. And I had words with them.
Okay.
I had words on several occasions with them, and maybe more than words on occasions, as the frustration crept into me. And he knew that. But I think at the end of the day, it was difficult for him to change the team when they were winning.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the breakthrough came. We played, Linfield played Cliftonville in the Irish Cup on the Saturday, mid-January, somewhere about there. And Cliftonville beat them. And then on the Tuesday, we played Everton, a friendly, at Windsor Park. And he brought me on for the second half.
Hold on a minute. It's a bit weird to have a friendly against Everton on a Tuesday night. Yeah. How does that materialise? They just come over and be like,
well, Roy was very friendly with Hard Kendall.
Okay, yes.
And they had met over at the under-18 tournament in Harlem.
Okay.
And they got very friendly. So one thing led to another. He used to go over to Everton to learn pre-season tactics and all that sort of stuff. So they had a great relationship, and Linfield used it to probably try and get a bit of a crowd to get some money in, etc.
It's a fantastic experience for the players.
Yeah.
Everton coming over and Windsor Park being crowded again.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I goes into the team on the Saturday, and then I goes on the run for the rest of my time. I left when I was 34.
Right.
So
that was you right through?
That was me right through.
And who was the goalkeeper that was...
Ken Barkley.
Okay.
Ken Barkley had been there for a long time. And then Coyle obviously probably seen times that we needed to rebuild and build a new team. I was part of that rebuilding, though it took a bit of time. But I got into the team and I say everything went from there. But one thing with Roy Coyle was, and you've been speaking to guys earlier, there's one thing with him was, it was his way or the highway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've figured that now.
And if you didn't measure up, you were out the door.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And that's the way it was.
Do you think that there's something to speak about that when somebody likes standards? That's what it is. And if you kind of master the standards that I'm going to set as a manager, it's time for you to move on, because there's no point being at the club if you're not going to want to be successful.
Yep. Johnny, I seen guys, grown guys, being called in by Roy Coyle at the end of the season and saying, we're letting you go coming out of his office with tears in their eyes. I seen that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a hard taskmaster. I won 26 medals under him.
Yeah.
Right? I
Fucking
won
hell.
9 league championships. You know, he was a winner. And that was his attitude. And if you didn't measure up, you were out. You know. And the secret in a good manager as well, especially if it's a club for a period of time, because players change, players get older, players lose form, players get injured, whatever. It's to rebuild the new team, is to see where you need to improve your team, get the right players in and keep the momentum going. And he did that. In my period, he built 3 or 4 teams in my period, which is important.
Yeah.
And in the modern day game, and as far as longevity is concerned, there aren't too many that last too long.
No, there's not. There must be something to say about how he's managed to be that ruthless and it became a success. There has to be something in that for a manager to be cutthroat enough, because some managers you see now, it's all about the other side of it, putting the arm around the shoulder and trying to get the best out of them and playing to their emotions. And I responded better with that whenever I had David with me in terms of how I got along, but I also needed the other side where I needed him at times to be like,
Kick.
get your shit and get out. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't know if that happens as much anymore.
Well, it definitely happened in our time.
Aye, well, you were probably punches and everything thrown.
Yeah. And lots, but we had, you know, in our dress, sometimes he would call a meeting. Roy Coyle would call a meeting, and he would discuss something that when maybe went on a Saturday, and he threw the floor open, you know, to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And funny, people made different comments about what they thought at that particular time, what they were thinking. Okay? And the benefit of that was that other people were picking up the way he was thinking and the way what he was thinking and the way he was thinking.
Yeah.
So they would be aware of the next time something like that happened. There's something in their head that says, I remember this conversation. This is how I'm going to deal with this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way it was. I mean, Coyle was absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruthless. And I was, by this time I had became an international. And I remember him saying to me one time, he said, you see you, he says, you only play until I get somebody better. There's no answer to that, is there? There's no answer to that. You know, and
what do you do there? It's just, again, standards. Is
fuck
like,
you. I said to him, you know, but it got my hackles up then.
Aye.
So it got a reaction from me.
Near enough. Yeah.
Right? It got a reaction from me. And I thought to myself, a couple of hours later, I thought, was that fucker said that to me, and he's got the response out of me that he wanted.
At the time, you probably didn't realise.
Yeah. Looking
back on it, psychologically, he's probably way ahead of where he needs to be.
Yep.
And he's using that.
You know what I done, Johnny? I played 299 games in a row for Linfield when I went into the team.
That's
299
incredible.
games in a row.
Well, what's that? 40 games, 40 game season.
Yeah. He left me out from a 300th.
Shut up.
You believe that?
That's ruthless.
He left me out from a 300th game on a row. He left me out for a couple of games. Maybe it was a kick up at the backside, I don't know. But that's what he done. So that shows you how ruthless he is. I don't think anybody at Linfield ever done 300 in a row.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody really going
well,
that.
Noel Bailey made it done it, Jimmy McGrew maybe nowadays, you know. But that's what he did. And therein is a sort of an inclination.
Well, here, let me tell you this. See, whenever you go into that change room the Saturday and you think, I'm 300 games in a row. There's obviously talk about it. You obviously know that's your...
It's in the press.
Do you know what I mean? It's a big thing. You go in there, up in the sky, you're high as you can be, thinking, I'm about to do this as a big milestone. And you look at the board and he leaves you out.
No, it didn't happen that way.
Okay.
He got me in on the Thursday night.
Okay.
And before he put the team up on the board, obviously, and he got me in, he says, I'm leaving you out on Saturday. I said, sorry. Yeah, I went, he says, I'm leaving you out. He says, and you be here. He says at 1 o'clock, like everybody else. And I says, is that right? I says, well, fuck you. I says to him, I said, I won't be here. He says, you be here. And he's pointing the finger at me. And I said to him, I'll tell you now, and you listen to me, I won't be here. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I got up and walked out. And I wasn't there.
Did you not turn up?
No. And he never, I know he would have loved to have fined me and suspended me, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe other people were whispering in his ear. I don't know. But he never, because I didn't turn up, he never broached it again with me.
Yeah.
And then that was me and him at loggerheads for a bit now, you know. I mean, I went, there was a particular time, and this is hard to believe, you know yourself, within a team, any team, you have strong characters, and you have people who are not so strong, etc., etc. You know, I'd like to think that myself, I was maybe one of the stronger characters within the group. But he never spoke to me. There was one period he never spoke to me. And this is hard to believe. He never spoke to me for about 18 months. Now, I was playing every Saturday, right? Training every night, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And we never spoke. He never spoke to me. Never in the team talk, nothing. He never spoke to me. And that's how he dealt with me for that period.
Is that like a thing where you think that he doesn't need to? Because you're consistent. You don't need to be told what to do. Everything that you're doing is, by his standards, bang on the money, and he just goes, I don't need to fucking speak to him. He sorts himself out, and it's everybody else.
Yeah, you could be right, Johnny. You could be right, because personally, as a player, I wanted to win.
Yeah.
And it was uppermost in my mind, you know, that I wanted to win. Now, again, as I said to you, you know, you got stronger characters in the team. We had maybe 3 or 4 strong people. For during the winter, if you're going away to Larne on a winter's day, a snowy day, you're going up to Coleraine, or you're going to Portadown, whatever it is, you're going to play, and you're getting it tight. And you know, there's some guys, you know, when the chips are down, you know yourself.
You have to stand up.
Right?
You need your leaders.
And we needed to drag guys up with us, and because every week we had to win. At Linfield, there was no second best. We had to win, you know. So we had to drag guys up, and they came. Drag them up to their bootlaces and learn the Linfield way of going. What was second best is no good to anybody.
Well, every time you signed somebody new, you pretty much had to install that winning mentality into somebody who probably never had it.
It came off, Johnny. It came off from what they learned in the changing room.
Yeah.
It bounced off other people, you know, unacceptable, you know, not putting 100% in the training, and the 5-a-sides and all the rest of it. I mean, there's a couple of nights of fisticuffs and 5-a-sides and that there, you know, but it was all commitment. It was all for the cause, as we say, you know, and that cause was for us to win, because everybody wants to beat Linfield.
Yeah.
That's consistently.
Raising
every
game
week.
Every week, yeah.
Every week. So you have to raise your game above that, and you've got to get the rest of them to do it. Once we do that, we're fine, you know. But it's to get to that level and say, here we go, we're all in together.
See, whenever you're in that changing room, and it's all as high as it is, the dedication's there, the commitment levels are there, is there still a lot of fun in it? Like, was there jokers in the changing room?
Oh God, we had a lot of fun in the changing room, a lot of banter, and that's funny. That's one of the things that I missed when I finished playing, was the banter in the changing room.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming in from work on a Tuesday, Thursday night, and you up to the Linfield in the changing room, and the banter's 90,
Aye.
and the crack's 90, and you know, everybody's feeding off each other and so forth, you know. And it was great. We had some fantastic people who bantered and tortured the hell out of others. Yeah. Others were quiet, but they get tortured too.
Yeah.
You know what it's like.
You can't hide. There is no hiding place in this.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I missed. But we had really, really good changing room, and as people went, other people come in. Maybe had difficulty with it at the start. Maybe couldn't hack the pressure. Okay. I mean, there was a lot of we signed a lot of good players who were good players at other clubs. Okay, maybe the other club's best players, but what they were in was a small pond.
Yeah.
Right,
big fish.
When they came to Windsor, okay, they were in a big pond, and there was more big fish about. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that was very, very relevant.
Yeah.
But there were guys who just couldn't hack it.
Yeah.
They came to Windsor, and they weren't the player we played against, playing for us.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the pressure, because, you know, no matter what, the crowd gets on to you if it's not going our way.
Mentality could be a big thing there too.
Yep.
Because you're doing everything you can to get that move, and then sometimes when you get it, foot's off the pedal.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've made it. I'm where I want to be. I can't get any higher than Linfield. Mm-hmm.
But don't forget, at Linfield, you were going to play in more finals, probably the same as Glentoran, etc. You're going to play in more finals and that there. And you've got to learn the big game temperament.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to adapt to it. You've got to get it into your system. Because if you didn't, Cork will get rid of you.
Yeah.
You know, I want players who can play in the big games when I need them.
Yeah.
And aren't found wanting or whatever. And that's the way it was. Not everybody achieved that, but the majority of them did.
Before we get into the actual success of your time at Linfield, you touched on there how you became a full international. Mm-hmm. Must have been such a proud, privileged moment for you to pull on the green and white Northern Ireland jumper and get between the sticks.
Well, I'll tell you a story, John. My first time in the international setup was at the end of the season in the home internationals. We're still going at that time. And Billy Bingham brought me into the squad for the home game against Scotland. And it was all new to me, and I was all, you know, amazed by all this and so forth. Being the presence, Martin O'Neill, Sammy McElroy, people like that there, you know. And that particular game, I think we drew with Scotland or beat Scotland, whatever. But they had Dalglish and Souness and so forth, whatever. So all of a sudden I'm rubbing shoulders with these players, you know. And Graham Souness that particular night, you know, David McCreary was up against them. And Graham Souness, the sort of player that he was a great passer to the ball and always wanted to get the ball and on the ball. And he was a bit of a poser too.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely.
But Dean McCreary was on his heels all the time and snapping away at him, and he waited his opportunity about 25 minutes into the game. And he just nailed D at half-time, or at the halfway line.
Right.
And I never seen anything like it. It was an awful tackle. Awful tackle.
Just retaliation for the first
he wouldn't
20.
let him play, you see. He wanted to get it down and knock it about and look good and all the rest of it. It wasn't happening. D was into him. And he didn't like it. But he thought by that would have finished it. But D didn't go down. Mm-hmm. He did go down to start. He got up and he got back at it again. And this annoyed Souness so much, you know. But that was the first time. And then he took me, where did we go next? We went to Wembley. We went to Wembley to play England. Yeah. And we got a draw there. I think we got a draw there. Yes, we got a draw, I think. And then, again, that was amazing. The only times I've been to Wembley was Northern Ireland Schoolboys, the first time ever in 1972. The centenary year when I was at Man City for the FA Cup final, they sent 3 of us down. All the clubs who had won the FA Cup had to send so many representatives because there was a flag thing, you see, of all the clubs. And I carried the flag for Man City that year. And the only other time was in that international. And then we went on to Wales. We went on to Wales and we got a result there. And we shared or won the British Championship, right? Now, here's me coming from Linfield.
Yeah.
Now on a stage, I've been to 3 internationals, right? I've got a British Championship medal. Now, there wasn't actually a specific medal that you got.
Yes.
But the IFA, after the game, decided that they would cut so many medals for all the players who were involved.
Absolutely.
Now, I have a medal in the house. I don't know what it'd be worth.
Yeah.
But it's engraved and all at the back. And there's me coming from Linfield, and now I've got a British Championship medal. Amazing.
Amazing. Well, that's one of the biggest things I can't really get over is it's the magnitude of the game. Mm-hmm. You go to Wembley against England, and you've probably played. Yes, you've played at Windsor Park. I mean, we all have. You don't get the huge crowds, but to go to Wembley against England is going to be a packed house.
Yeah, and
that's just so daunting for anyone to think of that you're just going to go play in that game.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, England were riding high at the time as well, you know. But we won it, and then also the Belfast City Hall cut a medal for us as well.
Okay.
Which they invited to the City Hall and gave us that as well. So there's me, got these things and haven't even played yet. And then I was lucky enough to go to Australia with the Northern Ireland team, 1981 I think it was. And I went to Australia. Again, look, football, Johnny, I seen the world with football, right? I seen the world with it. I've been to so many places I couldn't afford to go to, right? Other than football, I would never have been there. I was in America, I was in Asia, I was in Australia, everywhere, all over Europe. I'd never been other than football. I never got a cap whilst in Australia. And we came back, and then the next season started, and we played Israel, a friendly. And Billy put me in against Israel. And we beat Israel 3-0 at Windsor Park. I think Lee Docherty may have played that game. And Martin McAkey, I think, came on as a sub and scored.
Okay.
So that was the three of us making our debut.
Right.
I think I'm right. And then, as I say, I was happy enough to sit in the background. Big Pat was there, Jim Platt was there, and I was happy to sit in the background.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're just a part of it. You're coaching, you're being trained, you're around that professionalism.
I'm listening.
100%. Yeah.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
You know, I'm picking things up. You know, I'm seeing the way to do things.
Here, a question for you. When you're in that setup and you've got Pat there, do you see that Pat's so much better than you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You're talking about one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Here, you know. And I, to be honest with you, I was in awe of him. You know, because I can think back in the day, you know, playing in the street, being in goals, and I was Pat Jennings.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm alongside this guy. You know, so it was amazing for me.
He still had the long, luscious hair and all.
Absolutely. And one of the nicest guys that you could ever meet. Only speaks when he feels he needs to speak. But when he speaks, everybody listens.
Well, this is something that I don't know much about. And if it was coming from a centre-forward's perspective, I'd probably give him a 2 pence here. But what made Pat such a good goalkeeper? From a goalkeeping perspective.
Number one, he was a great athlete.
Okay.
People, you know, wouldn't believe how great of an athlete he was. Running, all those sort of stuff. He was a great athlete. He had a big pair of hands.
Aye.
But above all that, it must have been because of his brain. He had a football brain, a sporting brain, which obviously carried him. You're playing in the World Cup in Mexico at 40 years of age.
Yeah.
What more can you need to say?
Yeah.
You know, absolutely
You
stunning.
talk about longevity, don't you?
Outstanding, and an outstanding man as well. Somebody that everybody looked up to within the Northern Ireland group because of his status
Yeah.
and all the rest of it. And again, I went to the World Cup with them in '82, which is another great thing. But an
Even just to be
absolute
around that. Where was that World Cup?
Spain.
Amazing.
Spain in '82. We were away for.
And is that the goal? Jerry's
lived off that for years.
I'm sure.
So
yeah.
and I would as well. If it was me.
Before I get him in that hot seat to talk about it, I'm sure he'll love that conversation.
Oh, listen, but again, another lovely guy as well. You know, I mean, I was somewhat shocked to find that it was going to Spain.
Well, whenever you actually get that, is it a phone call?
You get a letter.
A letter, okay.
You get a wee whimper.
Okay.
Right.
You kind of have a feeling that's going to come, do you?
There's wee whispers here and there, but it
Small
doesn't come.
company, you see.
Yeah, it doesn't come to the letter. It comes through the door.
Okay. Yes, I get you.
So we were going to Brighton for 2 weeks training to Sussex University, and staying in Brighton for 2 weeks before we went to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard graft,
Yeah, sure.
morning and afternoon.
And who was the manager?
Billy Bingham.
Okay, Bill.
Billy Bingham.
Okay.
Outstanding. And he did all the planning. He did everything. And it was hard graft for 2 weeks, morning, afternoon training, but well worth it.
Yeah.
You know, and to be fair, you know, he wasn't regimental. He would Saturday night, right, go out, be back for such and such a time, you know, and everybody adhered to it.
Oh, did they?
Oh, there was no
Okay.
no messing about there, because I think number one, that I knew what Billy was like,
Yeah.
but number two,
You're about to go to
very
World Cup, aren't you?
professional.
Yeah.
and as a group, the group was amazing. There was the UK thing. Scotland were going and England were going. Jock Stein was a manager of Scotland, and I think it was Ron Greenwood was manager of England. Okay, and there was a scheme set up. Martin O'Neill, fantastic. Martin O'Neill, nobody's full. Real shrewd guy, clever fella, and he negotiated everything for the players. Okay, and at that particular time, Johnny, the way it was working out was you got £600 if you played.
Okay.
You get £400 if you were on the bench, and you have £200 if you didn't make that in the squad, right? And that's the way it worked for Scotland and England. Okay, Martin O'Neill decided, no, we're not doing it that way. Everybody gets 400 each across the board, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, fantastic gesture. It was a great boost for bringing the squad together.
Absolutely.
Everybody was in it together, and it was a masterstroke by Martin in doing that. You know, and I was never, you know, so proud of being somewhere as I was with that group in Spain.
Well, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are at that stage. Everybody's level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, obviously there was myself, there was Jim Cleary, there was Johnny Jamison and Felix Healy, and we were Irish League players. So it was a different level for us, you know, and we had to get up to a different level. But what a great trip to be on! What a great spectacle to be. That was the last one's just finished, you know, and it takes me to a lot of people, and I, around my age and so forth, can remember where they were on the night that we beat Spain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's it. I had Jackie.
Your dad would probably remember that.
Yeah, I had Jackie in. Jackie was my first guest about a year and a bit ago, and Jackie says that obviously Mr. BBC, you crack on, yeah, absolutely, if you need it.
Yeah.
Mr. BBC and all that, he was there and he's doing the pitch side interviews and he's in Spain, and he was like, you think about the many people who have lived on that forever. I know Jerry's obviously doing very well out of scoring a goal, but I'd be doing exactly what he done too. Yeah. Everywhere I go, I would have the picture on my back.
Yeah.
Me striking the ball.
Well, those guys were in our hotel, and not Jackie and so forth. So they were part of the group too.
Yeah, that's
you know
the
what I
thing.
mean.
And he would have knew everybody.
Yeah, in the changing room and so forth and whatever. And that particular night was just something, because people expect us to get beat.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no doubt people are expecting us to get beat, and Spain were going to march on to whatever, you know. However, it didn't work out that way. And I always remember Big Pat said to me at half time, sub, Big Pat said to me at half time, I'm struggling with, we're 1-0 up. I'm struggling with my groin a wee bit here. He says, keep yourself handy. And I put my arm around him and I says, Pat, don't even think about it. I says, you're doing great. Just you keep it up and we'll be fine.
Aye.
You know, I had this vision of me going on and everything up. You know, and doing something but never ever, you know.
The dream down the bladder.
And something people would never.
Everybody remembers that night for a totally different reason.
Yeah, and I had this vision of me doing it all. But anyway, we did great, and we had what you had to do. You had like passes, Johnny,
yeah.
And before the game, the 16 players involved had to put all their passes into a bag, and FIFA came and took those passes away. Okay. And at the end, they picked 3 out. Okay. For testing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can imagine there was Jerry Armstrong. There was, I can't remember, maybe Billy Hammond, somebody else. But you can imagine the guys are dehydrated and they're taken immediately away to the drugs testing room to provide a urine test. But because they're so hydrated, they can't. Mm-hmm. But they're kept there. They're not allowed out until they provide. Yeah. Okay. And we had this fridge in the room. There was 2 fridges, you know, and one was full of everything from beer to champagne. And then there was another one with the soft drinks. Well, you can imagine the euphoria at the end of the game.
Absolutely.
And party time and so forth and whatever. And the fridge is open. The beer fridge is open and all the rest of it and so forth. And we're into the drink and all the rest of it. Billy's away doing all his television interviews. The guys are down in the drug test. They can't provide. The longer they're there, we're still into this fridge. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the fridge started to go down. Okay. And we were still waiting and still waiting. Spain and all had gone by this time, you know. And the fridge got emptied. And somebody came up with the idea, let's go to the Spain's changing room. They hadn't touched a drop. So we refilled the fridge. So we got all the stuff out of their fridge and we partied. And to be fair to Billy, you know, he let us go ahead.
Absolutely.
And we partied all the way home, back to the hotel. We got there about, I think maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that there. And the girls and the waitresses were standing with trays upon trays of champagne for us coming back. So everybody was back in the hotel that night. To be fair to Billy, he went to bed.
Did he?
He went to bed. He said hello to everybody. Big Bron Atkinson was there. Lots of Jimmy Hill. All those sort of people are all celebrating with us. And Billy said hello to everybody. He said, right, tomorrow's off. We've got tomorrow off. And I'll see you all in the morning. He went to bed and we partied all night.
Brilliant.
All night in the hotel. It was amazing. One of the most amazing nights I've ever had, you know. And
well, you think it's pure euphoria?
Aye, absolutely, Johnny. And the atmosphere and the crack and the banter among everybody was brilliant. Singing, Big Jerry singing the whole night, you know. And these people like Jimmy Hill and Ron Atkinson and all them was enjoying with us.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Submersing themselves in the group, yeah.
Yep, fantastic. And of course, in amongst all that, we see the emergence of Norman Whiteside.
Okay.
Norman was 16 and a half or something, just below his 17th birthday. And he came into the squad. Now, Norman was a big lad in stature and physique, you know, but at 16.
Yeah, still young.
Not coming 17 yet, you know. But he did things in training and that were amazing.
Yeah.
And by the time he got to Spain, I've told this story later. Pat Jennings went to Billy Bingham, and said, Whiteside has to play. Now, I didn't know this. I was told this later. And lo and behold, Norman plays and was brilliant.
Against Spain?
Every game. He played every game. A lot of people were speculating what the team would be for the first game and so forth and what have you. And, you know, you do, as a group, you're having wee conversations. What do you think a team will be? What do you think a team will be, etc.
Just picking each other's heads.
Yeah. And there wasn't too many got it right with Norman being in the team as a starter. But again, I'm told, and this just says the status that Pat Jennings had, if what I was told was true, that Pat went to Billy and said, Whiteside has to play.
Could you see that he was super talented at that age?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
And he was doing things that nobody else even there was doing?
Yeah. You know, I know the history of Norman, and on occasion I presented him with medals at a club that he played for from school.
Okay.
But, I mean, he played the school's cup final for Summerdale, I think it was. And they won 6-1 or something. Norman was bigger than everybody else. He scored 5.
Okay.
Right? He scored 5. And you know, the night that we played Spain, I think their tactic and thoughts were, we're going to hammer this wee lad in the wing, you know. And they started doing that, and they tried to intimidate him, and they tried to bully him, and all the rest of it. And for a period at the start, it probably was happening. You know, they weren't giving him time or whatever, because Norman had a great left foot, and the right back was hammered into him and so forth. And then on one occasion, about 30 minutes into the game, round about the halfway line, Johnny, the opportunity for Norman to show his worth happened in a tackle with his right back, and Norman never held back.
Yeah.
And he gave him what he had been giving him. And for me, that was Norman arriving.
Yeah. Aye, that's his moment to be like, right,
because he was the youngest player in the world then to play in the World Cup.
Right.
And he had taken over, I think, from Pelé. And everybody wanted to talk to him.
Yeah.
The press from all over the world wanted to talk to him. But that particular tackle, for me, Norman has arrived.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird to think now that probably the only person who's at that level is Yamal. He's what, 17, 18?
Yeah.
He's just played in the Euros, in the World Cup, and you're sitting going like, it just shows you that sometimes people are that talented that they should be given the opportunity regardless of age. And for Norman, that was exactly what.
See, Norman came into training, and I remember saying to me many years later, he said, Jordan, you know how much I was earning when I came in to the World Cup squad? I says, no, I was at Man United.
Mm-hmm.
I was earning £16 a week at Man United. He says, now, when the World Cup came along, big Ron Atkinson, who was the manager, was staying with us. I think he was working for ITV or something or whatever. He was staying with us. But he made sure when Norman went back for pre-season training, he had him in and put him on a better contract and a long contract.
Yeah.
You know.
Smart though, isn't it?
Oh, you know. But what a player.
Yeah.
And that was, again, Johnny, I'm saying here, I appreciate how lucky I was.
Yeah.
Right? I came from being released by Man City, being released by Glentoran, going to Ballymena, rebuilding my career and achieving what I achieved. Getting British Championship, getting to the World Cup. I never seen that down the line.
Yeah.
But what a fantastic experience.
Whenever you look at it back and you think to yourself, like, I've been able to achieve what I have. You've just touched on there, you've done all these mad things. You've been involved in tremendous squads and incredible achievements. Did you think that you would have had more opportunity to be a part of that setup?
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Well, I don't think so, John. I was just, do you know what? I was happy enough with my lot.
Okay.
And then, again, sometimes I was saying to myself, maybe the opportunity will come along again to go to England or go to whatever. And then things were coming into the mix again. I remember we played Shamrock Rovers in the European Cup, as it was then. Mm-hmm. And they had a really good side. And Jimmy McLaughlin was their manager. And I'd played against, he'd also been the League of Ireland manager, and I'd played Irish League against the League of Ireland, whatever. But we went down there. I think we drew them at Windsor. We went down to 10 men after half an hour. And my managed to hold on for a draw. And they were a good side. And we went down there and we played them. And we beat them. And they went out. And I remember after the game, I went into the club because we had flown down. And just waiting to get everybody together again before we got on the bus, straight out to the airport and away.
You flown to Dublin?
Aye. Security. I'm saying
because of the height of troubles now.
Yeah.
Where it was. So.
Yeah, I'm saying it was security.
Enough. Yeah.
You know, and I'm standing in the club, the Shamrock Rovers Social Club, and this press guy comes over to me, Southern Irish guy, and he said to me, "Hi George, how are you?" And I'm going, "How you doing? Nice to meet you." Blah blah blah. He says, "Do you know Liverpool were watching you today?" And I went, "What?" He said, "Do you know Liverpool were watching you today?" I said, "No, I have no idea. It's news to me." And he said, "Well, they were." And I went, "Well, I don't know anything. I can't help you. If you hear anything, let me know."
Aye,
you know, give us a shout, will you?
Good,
you know,
absolutely.
And that was it. And the next thing was at the end of that season, my wife and my daughter and my son were in Portugal on holiday in Albufeira. And, no, Portimao it was. And it was my daughter's 9th birthday. So the wee one's in the pram and we're walking down the street. And coming up the street on the other side of the road was Bruce Grobbler.
Right.
And I'd played against them, the Irish League against the Football League at Windsor. Okay. So we're on this side of the road and he's walking up in the distance from this side. And I could see him seeing me. And I whispered to my wife, I think he sees me here. Because I was going to walk on, you see.
Yeah. I'd say nothing, just
you know. So the next minute he crossed the road and he came over to me. "Hi, are you? Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. In holiday and all the rest of it. Aye. He says, I says, "Who are you with?" He says, "I'm with Kenny Lovelace and Alan Hansen and the families. We've got a villa." He says, "Come down, bring the family down. There's the address, there's the phone number. Come down, be good to see you." He says, "Because I want to talk to you." I said, what do you want to talk to me about?" He says, "Well, the story's going is that you're coming to us at the end of the year." So that's now linking up from the Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce Grobbler said to me, and I'm going, "I haven't heard anything about this. You know, nobody's spoke to me about it or whatever, you know." He says, "I'm telling you." He says, "The talk is that you're coming to us." And I went, "Right, well, I'll believe it when I see it." And there's no way I was going down to visit them. I was out of my depth.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I was a shipyard worker.
Aye, but see if you think about it. See if you had to put yourself in that situation. Do you reckon that they would have had enough influence? Kenny Dalglish would have had. If he thinks that goalkeeper's good enough for us, get that done.
I'm sure he would have had the influence. But I was out of my depth, in my opinion.
So you never know until you get there.
Well, I never got there. You know.
Okay.
I was out of my depth. And I've, you know, not only in football terms, but financially and all the rest of it was way to my depth, you know. So I didn't go, but I was grateful for the opportunity. And then the season starts again, and we've beaten Shamrock Rovers, and we plays Panathinaikos in the next round.
Mm-hmm.
So that was okay. We goes over there and we could beat 2-1 or something. I think we beat 2-1 out in
Such a big club.
Aye.
We're at Greece.
70,000 in the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like anything. But anyway, we did all right. We beat 2-1. So we were in a bit of a chance. Well,
Do you think?
You know?
Yeah.
so we comes home, and we go 3-0 up, Johnny.
At Windsor?
Windsor. We go 3-0 up. And I go, maybe I have a chance here. Right? 3-0 up, right? I have a chance here. And then it's 3-1. 3-2. And we went out. We get beat. But I'm told on that particular night, Bob Paisley had arrived at Windsor along with Derek Wade and somebody else who had picked him up to make the final assessment on me.
Right.
But remember the Arsenal story I told you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the last I heard that one too.
Yeah.
You know, one of those ones.
Do you know what? If you hadn't threw M2 against Panathinaikos, you'd have been Liverpool.
I know. Sure. Do that is stay about your granage.
But no, when you look over your career now, you have to be so proud of the things that you've been able to do, as you've touched on. But not even from that sort of international perspective, and even a European venture, but even your homecoming to town with the amount of medals you won in the Irish League trophies. You talked about 27 medals.
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening.
Aye, well, I told you there earlier, the only medal I had was County Antrim Shield with Ballymena, and now I've managed to attain 27.
So what is it, 9 leagues you won?
9 leagues. It's something like 6 County Antrim Shield medals. I had about 4 or 5 Gold Cup medals. I can't remember them all, but a couple of Irish Cup medals, and so forth. But I've given a lot away.
Right.
I've given a lot away to friends and people,
Yeah.
and one thing I don't have is runners-up medals, because I don't keep them.
Okay.
I remember we got beat in the final of the Cup at the Oval. I can't remember what one of the cup finals we got beat. And there was 2 wee boys standing outside, and I was coming out to my car, and they were, hiya, blah, blah, blah. And I said, there you are, son. That's for you.
Yeah.
And I gave the kid my medal because, again, that was something maybe was inbred at Linfield, whatever.
Yeah,
that
you only won.
Yeah.
I tried to do that too. Didn't work out.
And this is Coiler's driven way of going, second place is no good to anybody. And we, into the bargain, the club, the way they based their bonuses, right? You got a bonus for winning. You didn't for losing.
Yeah.
And everything was based on the mentality of winning,
Clean sheets.
winning.
You get,
Yeah.
Do your stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever you look over your career and the length of time that you're at Linfield, 14 years, obviously comes changes, as you touched on. Like you had maybe 2 or 3 different teams that were rebuilt throughout that stage. Which team did you think was the strongest?
Without doubt, I'll name you the team that I think was the best team I played in. Obviously myself.
Okay, yeah.
Goes without saying.
Obviously, yeah.
Right back, Alan Fraser. Centre back, Peter Rafferty. Sweeper, Lindsay McKeown. Left back, Terry Hayes. Right side midfield, Peter Dornan. Centre, Davy Nixon. Left side, Stephen McKee. Up front was Trevor Anderson, Colin McCurdy, and Warren Feeney. That was a great side to play in.
Yeah.
We could have we had goals everywhere in that team. I think Peter Rafferty as a centre back scored 12 goals. And there were goals every. That year we won We won the first 4 cups.
Yeah.
And Roy Coyle was still registered as a player. And the very last tournament of the season for us to do them all was the County Under Shield final, against Crusaders. And Roy picked himself at sweeper instead of Lindsay. And
Is that just a glory thing? Yeah, you know,
I don't
put
know.
myself in for the final.
He had a fucking nightmare. And he was responsible for 2 goals, you know. So that cost us the whole doing the clean sweep or whatever that year. But that team was special.
Mm-hmm.
And it was full of characters, full of winners, and everything that you would have epitomised in a Linfield team. I remember one particular night we were playing a Whites. We were playing a Whites distiller at Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
It was a night match. And we were getting beat 4-1 with 12 minutes to go. And we beat them 5-4. With 12 minutes to go, we got four goals. You know, there was goals everywhere, you know. Having said that, there were great players that came behind that. Martin McGackey. You know, Martin McGackey scored, I think in one particular year was 68 goals.
Right.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? 68 goals he scored.
I think that's why he scored my career.
Aye. He scored that in 1 year. 58 goals, whatever it was. Another fantastic player. Another quiet lad, right? But quietly determined.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the emergence of Lee Docherty came on the scene. There were other guys came on the scene. And that was all in the process of Coiler rebuilding teams over the years. But no matter what, Johnny, you know this yourself. If you have a striker who's scoring goals, right, year in, year out, you've got a chance.
Yeah.
You then build your back line up. And if you're strong at the back with a good goalkeeper, you're in with a chance.
Yeah.
You're in with a chance. And at that particular time, formations were changing. You know, there would have been at that time, the formations would have been 4-2-4. And then they became 4-3-3.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came 4-4-2, which in my opinion killed wingers.
What did?
4-4-2 formation, because right and left midfielders had to get up and down the line. The wingers that I played with never crossed the halfway line.
Okay.
They just stayed at the halfway line. They didn't come back and have the fullback or whatever, you know. So if you became a right midfielder and a left midfielder, you had to get up and down the line. You had to support the forwards and you had to help the fullback.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the game changed. The game has changed again, the 3-5-2 or whatever their diamond formations, all this sort of stuff at the minute.
Yeah.
And it's moving on. And look what Pep has created at the minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Pep has created a game that everybody's trying to copy.
Yeah.
But not every player could play the way
not
Pep
at all.
wants it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, think of his recruitment and everything. They have to be able to pass the ball. They have to be able to move. Yeah. They have to be part of the team or whatever. He's created a phenomenon now that every team's trying to play, even kids' teams and all the rest of it.
That's what kind of takes the whole inside of football away from me, I think. And when you're looking at what people are doing, like you have teams trying to play from the back with players that should just be able to toe it up the pitch. Mm-hmm. Like understand what you're good at.
Yep.
Play to your strengths.
Yep.
Don't try to make people do something that they're not comfortable with, because
whenever
you're another team and you're playing against somebody and you know that person is not going to be comfortable getting the ball in that area of the pitch.
And all those formations are good until you're 2-1 down with maybe 10 minutes ago. All of the balls going from the back,
send it
right to the front. Let's get up in their half.
You quickly resort back to stick a big man up front. And
There's no doubt.
But no, I'm sure you've seen plenty in your time. But if I have to ask you of one player that really stood out to you of your time over that 13 or 14 years at Linfield, who would it have been?
Well, there's one or two, without doubt. There's one or two. One or two being my first captain and good friend Peter Rafferty, who epitomised everything that Linfield was. The captain led from the front, dragged everybody with them, and all the rest of it. There's no doubt He was one. And another one has to be without a shadow of a doubt, Martin McGackie.
Okay.
Because Martin McGackie played with different frontmen playing with him. And still managed year in, year out to score goals.
Yeah.
I mean, 30 goals was a bad season for him. Johnny, honestly, 30 goals was a bad season for him. But one thing about him was he led the front, he took the stick, the kicking and all the rest of it, but he never reacted.
Yeah.
Big, strong guy who led from the front. It's so quiet.
Yeah.
With it. So unassuming, so introvert is the word I'm looking for. But on the pitch, became an extrovert.
Yeah.
And
Crossed the white line.
Brilliant.
Different animal.
Brilliant. So those two really stood out for me. And then, as I say, there are lots of other. Fraz was a great player as well. Davy Nixon, you know, that team that I named, Colin McCurdy, all great players. Lee Dockery, who came in. Lots of other players who came in over the years as players moved out, players came in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we even had one particular time, we had two guys from Algeria.
Okay.
And then we had Coiler then brought in two from Belgium. But whilst they were decent enough players, for me, they never grasped of what it meant to play for Linfield.
Because it was just football to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never got it from being here.
Yeah. And they never, through no fault of their own, you know, but to be a Linfield player, you had to buy into the system or you were up the road.
Yeah.
You know.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is, as your time's coming to the end, did you know it was coming to the end?
Aye. Yeah.
Talk to me about getting to that stage, what it was like for you coming to terms with potentially retiring, what it was like then after that for stepping
Well, I knew, Johnny, in my last year, as I say to you, there's eras where people need moved on and a rebuilding job done. Mm-hmm. And my last year, the Glens beat us 7 times. We couldn't get by them the whole year. We couldn't get by them at all. They beat us 7 times. And I knew, as the season was going on, that I was finished. I knew in my heart, in my head, that the ball game was over. Mm-hmm. I never spoke to anybody about it. I never said to anybody about it. But I knew you set yourself standards, okay? I think any player should set themselves standards. And you know yourself if you go below those standards. And it's how you cope with it if and when you do. I had played something like nearly 570 games for Linfield. I was tired. Mm-hmm. My reactions were slower. And I knew myself that I was finished. And as I said to you earlier on there, I've seen growing players being called in, told they were leaving, they were being moved on, and coming out with tears in their eyes. In my case, I wanted to leave in my terms. I didn't want to be like them.
Yeah.
Okay? I wanted to leave in my terms, walk out with my head held high, knowing that I myself have made the decision that I'm finished.
Yeah.
And that was very important to me. And I know Eric Boyer, the following year, that was at the end of 89-90 season, and Roy Coyle left. And Eric Boyer and Alan Fraser took over. And that was a time of a rebuilding job needed to be done.
Yeah.
As it had been done previously, over the previous lot of years. And I remember Eric Boyer phoned me up, and a lot of time for Eric Boyer as well, you know. And it was his first job in management, and a blue man through and through. But it was a difficult period. I was at the end. Lindsay McKeown was at the end. Martin McGackie had got a bad injury, never really fully recovered from it. So there's 3 out of that team, which may have been the mainstay of the team, gone. you've got to find replacements. You've got to find the characters again that you need, the strong characters that can hold it together. When the crowd's getting on to people and,
Absolutely.
you know, and all the rest of it, you need those sort of people to drag others along. Well, they weren't there. And unfortunately, you know, as it proved, Linfield went into the wilderness for a year or two because financially they didn't have their players, the finance to bring in the players that were required, you know. But getting back to your point, and you should think, we had the conversation earlier, and only you can make that decision in relation to yourself. I knew myself, I was finished. And I took the view, it can't go on forever. Loved every minute of it. It can't go on forever. It's finished. And let it be at that. And that was how I finished.
Did you realise how difficult it was going to be when you stepped away?
Yep. Well, how difficult it was, like I said to you earlier, I missed the changing room, right? I missed the crack with the lads. I missed the Saturday afternoon and all the rest of it. I missed the team spirit, the camaraderie, all those sort of things. There's no doubt you miss that. But life moves on.
It does.
And you got to move on yourself, Johnny, because the main thing is you've had a run, you've had a good run, accept it and leave it at that.
Enjoy the memories.
Enjoy the memories. Yep. I've still, you know, my grandson, he's only 9 there, you know, asked me about this match and that match and whatever, and he said, "Grandad, where's your caps?" I says, "This is a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
While the World Cup was on, you know." I says, "They're upstairs. What do you want?" He says, "Can I take one into school?" "What do you want to take one into school for?" "I just want to take one into school." Right? Don't you be losing it. So I went and got him it, put it in a wee bag for him, and he took it in and he brought it out to the teacher.
Showed everyone.
You know, that's you know, that even adds to the memories, Jenna, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
it's fantastic now that you're able to live that with your grandkids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not many people get to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also then you have to look at the actual fact that you're probably going to be able to bring those kids to the games and be around it and look up watching matches and
take them in, show them a changing room. I mean, Linfield, the Linfield setup is so different to my time now. Do you know what? The changing rooms are different. The whole, you know yourself, Johnny, the whole grounds, all different and so forth, you know. And to be show people around and whatever, is great.
And do you enjoy that whenever Linfield come knocking and ask you to do a wee bit? Do you enjoy being back at the grounds?
Would never ever say no.
Yeah.
And I've said this on many, many occasions. Linfield were very good to me and for me during my time there.
Yeah.
I could never ever say a bad word about Linfield in any shape or form. So if they ask me to do something with a hand and a heart, there's no problem. And there's several guys like that.
Yeah.
You know, give a wee bit back.
Yeah, it is. Especially after a career, and it's fantastic for fans and for people to be around people like yourself who have lived and breathed the club for so many years. There's something refreshing about that, I think, especially when you go to such a big club and a big establishment. It's nice to see the old faces who kind of put the club on the map.
Yeah.
You know
well, and the other point I want to make, Johnny, is the fans. The fans were great for me. Goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's in the net. You know that yourself, right? And I made one or two, doesn't. But even during making those mistakes, you know, they never got on to me.
Yeah.
They never hammered me. They never ran me down, whatever. They supported me.
Yeah.
And for that, I will always be eternally grateful.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, there's probably no better way to finish than to finish on that. So listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've probably wrapped up about an hour and a half's worth of conversation there, which is flew in and very interesting. So thank you very much for joining. But we finish on hugs.
Yeah.
So
no worry with that, Johnny. No
thank
worry
you
with that.
very much for
Thank you for having me.
giving me your
Thank
time.
you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to sit here and dive into what's been a fantastic career, mate. And
Yeah.
you're so knowledgeable. You're so fantastic of how you speak and recall all the memories you have. So Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for asking me.
No problem. Join us next week on the On the Spot Football Podcast for what's going to be another fantastic guest. Tune in. See you soon. It's been an absolute pleasure.